once the music and the lights went out completely, there was like a sense of dread, like real paranoia and fear. Like my breath got like shorter and I was like, I could feel my heart picking up. There is nothing to take your attention away. It's almost like you're locked in the present.
In your writings, you've explored almost every state of consciousness I could imagine, the various mystical levels of Satori, communication with extraterrestrials, communication with other species. You've established probably a more significant mapping of inner space than almost any other modern person, and I think we all owe a great debt to you for that.
I don't get stuck with those. Have a bend It's impossible. Because of infinity, so anymore.
What if you could isolate the brain from external stimulation and create a soundproof space where someone could float in solitude and confinement for long periods of time? Could that person fall into an altered state of consciousness, peer into the innermost spaces of their mind, climb deeper into their imagination? That was John C. Lilly's wonder in 1954. He created a dark, soundproof tank, filled it with warm salt water, then blocked out all sound and light. I quickly found that it was very easy to leave the body and go into new spaces. Lilly writes, "One could go anywhere that one could imagine one could go. I traveled through my brain, watching the neurons and their activities."
I'm committed to it now. There's no going back. That sensation, like I know that's gonna hit me first, out of the gates. That's the first feeling I'm gonna have. My name is Gagan Singh. I go to Woodbury University. I'm here today to float. Whatever I guess like I got going on personally, like I know with no distractions in front of me, it's just gonna get louder. Why are these thoughts the ones that get to sit up front? How did they get the front row seat in my head? Who gave them that? There's a million things I could be thinking about right now. Why are these guys here first? I don't stray from sitting with myself, especially when things are getting overwhelming. I think that's the time to kind of like hit a reset, like retreat and like regroup. I think it's all just an inner universe, and then we made up the outer universe. Your mood will literally decide what kind of outer universe you're a part of. It's like laws of physics, right? Like if you push something, it's gonna go somewhere, and like it can go on forever in space, right? Energy, I guess. And there's so many words for that in so many different languages. I don't want to know what the answers are. It's not any information I would seek. I would just want to understand myself in relation to this thing. What does it want to tell me? What is the point? What are we doing here?
According to a 2016 study conducted by Neuroverse, typically what happens in a routine float session, about an hour long, is very high activity in the brain initially. After about 30 or 40 minutes though, you start to see more and more of a reduction of brain activity, followed by bursts of gamma and theta waves, typically associated with states of rest, meditation, and creativity.
So what you have here is 4 different floaters at 4 different sessions. So let's take a look at floater number 1. So typically you start with, more high activity, and then what we're seeing is you go through a stage at about 30 minutes when you have more and more of a reduction overall in power. And that's kind of like around this stage. And then you start having these bursts of gamma and theta.
Taking away external stimuli from the equation is equivalent to reducing 90% of the brain's normal functions. The brain creates an environment for creativity, problem solving, memory consolidation, emotional sorting, and relaxation.
I'm feeling very relaxed, just kind of like decongested my head. At least when I was there, I allowed myself to just be present. A sense of surrendering, I think, is the best way to sum it up. I had a very necessary conversation with myself about my identity and how much of what I choose to do with my life is a service to a past version of myself versus my future.
And you seem to be saying that it's up to each person to to in effect make the same bridge that you have and to create their own belief system so that in creating that belief they can move into the state that that belief leads them to so that they can then discard it again.
That's the Gnostic point of view. Self-transcendence, not transcendence to a church or a group.
What did I want to identify with? At the end of the day, am I going to be comfortable with just servicing a past self that's not actually here right now? Or am I going to look after my future and who I am in this moment? This experience really just changed my feelings of how limited I feel about myself. There's so much more to being alive. There's so much more happening that you just kind of throw away if you try to define yourself every day a certain way. Whatever words you use, there's like an infinite amount of words you're not using to talk about who you are, what your identity is. And I just felt reminded that there's no right or wrong or perfect way to be. There's just to be.
In the province of mind, what one believes to be true either is true or becomes true within certain limits. These limits are to be found experimentally and experientially. When so found, these limits turn out to be further beliefs to be transcended.